In this video, artist Kathy Gomric demonstrates her techniques in creating light and shadow to the members of Northside Art Association. Award-winning artist Kathy Gomric is a master of many techniques that bring pencil on paper to life. Her drawings are bold, wicked, and striking. Nature, form, organic, and human shapes entwine to become unique and captivating images. Many nurtured strokes and shades flow across the page and take on a life of its own when Kathy creates. In black and white and shades of gray, there are powerful and strong expressions that grow from the paper and boldly make its statement. Kathy Gomric is a member of Art St. Louis Artist Guild, Gateway East Artist Guild, and the Jacoby Art Center. She retains a studio at the Soulard Art Market and has gallery representation through the Contemporary Art Gallery, Framations Art Gallery, and the galleries of Soul Survivor. Learn more about Kathy Gomric on her website at www.kathygomric.com. Following are a few selected video clips of artist Kathy Gomric's demonstration.
I draw from the heart. I don't like to copy. I don't like to, mimic. I just sit down and I start drawing and things unfold out of the paper. Normally. That's what I enjoy doing, the surrealistic fantasy. If something starts to appear in the shadows, I'll enhance it. If I have an idea that I want to do something, I like to get people involved. I like to arouse emotion and thinking. They'll look at my pictures, my drawings. Sometimes they'll have either, oh, I love it, or oh, I hate it. That's okay. Everybody's taste is different. People always say, well, what did you mean when you did that? What was the reason? There really is no rhyme or reason. It's from my soul. It's just something that comes out normally. I lay in darks first, and I let them become illuminated by the contrasting of laying the lights next to them. I remember when I went to Belleville Area College, which is now Swick, and Dale Threkheld was my drawing teacher. I did take a drawing class there years and years ago. And I remember part of his delivery in class about the darks and the lights and playing them. So that's what I do. And I'll show you. I've got a little something to maybe try to show you some with the owl. It sometimes takes really long because I layer and layer and layer. You can see my pencil marks. I like a lot, I use a 9B. I usually use a little bit of 2B, 6B, 9B. I don't usually use too much of the H-leads anymore, as much as I did in the beginning. But I layer, and I'll start with that 9 where I want it to be the most striking.
Is B softer than
yes.
A now?
B's are softer than H. The bigger the number in a B, the softer the lead. The bigger the number in an H, the harder the lead. So if you figure, okay, over here you got H, you got a 9H. Super hard. 8, 7, 6, 5, down to an HB, which is your middle lead. And an HB is kind of equivalent to a number 2 household pencil.
Yeah, okay.
And then you'll go 1B, 2B, 3B, all the way up to 9B. And I have some pencils here to show you. I'm going to give you a little chunk of paper, and you're going to pass around these pencils. I have plenty of pencils, various leads, and you can see what I'm talking about. Yes?
I had a question, because it's such a soft lead, how do you prevent it from smearing as you're working?
Oh, gosh, people ask that all the time. Yeah. And I'm a stickler. That's why I don't use charcoal, because it's so messy.
Yeah.
I can't stand, and if I'm drawing, I will notice sometimes graphite accumulates here.
And, but it isn't on your paper, it isn't.
Well, I'm very careful. Sometimes I'll turn the paper around, but I never start in the same place. Now, this drawing, of course, like I said, I started there. Then I started putting the tree in, so I worked over that way, which since I'm right-handed, it worked well. Well, when I came around to this side, I had to turn my paper some. I couldn't stay on that path or I would have smeared that center.
Do you ever cover with another paper?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. If I think, oh, I want to get over there more, but I don't want to turn the paper. So I'll just put a piece of paper over it, and I'll do that. And then when I'm finally done, I use a fixative to seal my graphite. Because I've seen so often where graphite has fallen, you know. What's on my paper is in my paper. I'm the vessel, the talent's flowing through the hand saying, bring me in. I let the imagination go. I let the right side of the brain do its thing. It's not intentional what comes out. And it knows if I'm doing a commission where I'm doing something for somebody that they want something special. But when I'm free to create, and that's when I'm very passionate and I love it. I love when things just start evolving out and they start forming. You never know what you're going to come up with. That's the risk. I use Reeves VFK paper. It's actually printing paper. But you'll see, I like it. It's nice and soft and it's personal. It kind of like, it's got a life to it. I start with the eye because that's going to be my deepest, darkest. And it's going to have highlights. It's not going to be total black. It's going to take some layering, but at first, we're going to go in here. And there's little highlights. And, well, first you have the iris part, and there's highlights. This photograph doesn't show them, but there's always highlights because you got the depth. In order to get the depth in that light, you got to put in highlights. So,
What number pencil are you?
now this I'm using my 9B. Love the 9B. I start out with that where I want it to be the darkest, which is there. And I'm big on the pressure and release. And let's see, let's go ahead and put a highlight there. And let's put a little one there. Okay, and then you have his little yellow. Because you want them to look like the eyes are sat in. You don't want them to look like they're sitting on top. They want to come out. Okay. And so I go in. And I want to keep them kind of even. So I don't get too much on one side. Because then I'll look at him and he'll be cockeyed.
What do you do when you make a loop? Is it easy to correct just by erasing, or does that leave?
I never really erase, but I do have a kneaded eraser sometimes lift. I never really have to take away. I always keep, you know, I may lift out some of the darkness here and there,
Okay.
but I never erase.
You never erase. Okay.
You might tell people that the softer the pencil, the harder it is to get it off with any kind of eraser.
That's true too. That's why where the feeling tells me it's going to be darker and I start with, that's where it's going to stay. That's why I don't go all over with it. Because it is. And that's if you press too hard. I use very light. I don't use a lot of pressure. Many times people burn the paper. They go in like a bulldozer. You know, you don't have to press on that paper. And if you want to look at this and you can see, I haven't torn that surface of that paper at all. I've just laid it on there. And now I'll go in maybe with another one once you look at that. But see, and you'll see with that paper, it's so soft. It so adapts to you so well. You know, if you just respect it, you know. See, I get really passionate about my drawing, folks. Okay. Now, you know, this is I love drawing. I just love it to death.
Do you ever use colored pencil?
And I've experimented, but I keep coming back to black and white. In fact, recently I did do a commission for a guy where he wanted it to be black and white. Well, at first he told me he wanted some color in it. I said, you need to get somebody else. He says, no, I want you to do it. I know you're going to do it for me. He wanted a black and white swan to be coming up off of a lake, headed for an island beach. And he told me just how he wanted the clouds in the sky and all that. So I did it. He likes it, but I'm just like, you know, I don't feel as good about that as if I'd just left it all black and white. It's just me. I just like the black and white. I guess I'm just old-fashioned. I don't know. I'd rather focus on my black and white than dabble with other stuff. Okay. I have some other little tricky things I used that I want to show you real quick. Okay. If I want to spread that graphite. Oops, sorry, Amy.
It's okay.
Okay. I love this. It's a stump. And it's so cool because you can go in and look how you can, I can undefine that to where that gives that eyeball a little more depth. I don't know if you can see it. And I want to keep, and I also have this cute little number that I do this to get my wispiness. If I need some wispiness, can you see it laying on there? And this is a pastel brush. It works wonderful.
How do you get the graphite on it?
From using it on bigger areas.
Oh, okay.
And it's just dirty. I've gone through about 10 of those in the last 15 years. Because the more you use it and you wear down the... Okay, now it's going to be darker up here. And your reflections going to be down here. So you'll fade out. So you can... Okay. And then, the good old kneaded eraser. Oh, I love these. These are so good for... Okay. Now see how I got depth in that eyeball? Mm-hmm. And you just play with it. And you go back and forth. You know? And see how that paper adapts to those pencils?
What kind of paper was it again?
Reeves BFK. Capital B, capital F, capital K, R-I-V-E-S. It's a French paper. And see here, as I'm going down under here, I'm even getting the little feather thingies around his eyes. I'll be working on him for quite a while, but I'm nowhere near done, but it gives you an idea.
If we could go away with 3 things tonight that you really want us to know about creating light and shadow, what would it be?
Play the darks against the lights. Because you can always go in where you've put a dark, and you can pull out a highlight. And that's what I'll end up doing with these feathers up here. You got to constantly have those darks against the lights, because the darks will help the lights pop, and the lights will help push the darks back. And if something comes out of those shadows, play with it. Number 2 tip, don't rush it. Don't rush it. Let it grow. You know, don't worry, don't burnish, just let it grow. You know, I'm not going to get this done in an hour, 2 hours, or a day. But that's okay. When it is done, it'll... Number 3, just do what makes you feel good. Just be happy with your artwork. if you feel good about what you're doing, keep on doing it. You know, don't worry about money. You know, I'll never be rich at this, but I make a lot of people happy with my drawings. My God, every time I do one for somebody, a commission, and they tell me how much they love it, it's like, oh.
Well, I can't think of a better note to end on. Let's give a nice round of applause to Kathy Gomric.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Kathy.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Northside Art Association is a nonprofit arts organization focused in Florissant, Missouri that serves local artists through community exposure, networking, education, and peer interaction.